The cake sat untouched on the kitchen table, its candles melted into waxy pools, mocking the happy 30th birthday scrawled in frosting. I stared at it, the room spinning from the wine I'd chugged alone, when my phone buzzed. It was for my sister Elena. The message lit up the screen like a slap. Our family is ashamed that you use our last name. No happy birthday. No love, just that. In that moment, the weight of 3 decades crashed down, and I realized the fracture in our family wasn't a crack, it was a chasm I'd been dangling over my whole life. My name is Alex Rivera. Or at least, it used to feel like mine. Growing up in the shadow of the Rivera legacy in our small coastal town of Santa Marina, California met expectations as heavy as the fog rolling in from the Pacific. Dad was the golden boy turned mayor. Mom, the perfect hostess with her charity galas, and Elena? She was the prodigy, the valedictorian, the Stanford grad, the rising star in corporate law. Me? I was the wild card, the one who dropped out of college to chase dreams of becoming a musician. Tattoos snaking at my arms, gigs and dive bars, and a string of unstable relationships that made family dinners awkward. But shame? That word sliced deeper than any rejection I'd faced on stage. The hook dug in that night as I paced my cramped apartment, the ocean's roar faint through the window. I could hear Elena's voice in my head, prim and accusatory, the way she'd said similar things before, but never so bluntly. You're embarrassing us, Alex. What will people think? She'd whisper. At holidays, but on my birthday? It felt like a declaration of war. I grabbed my guitar, strumming furious chords that echoed my rage, but beneath it lurked a hollow ache. Was I really so unworthy of the name we'd all shared? The story of how I clawed my way back, or maybe forward, starts there, in the ruins of a celebration that never was. Flashback to our childhood. Santa Marina was a postcard town, white sand beaches, colorful bungalows, and a pier where tourists snapped selfies. The Rivera house overlooked it all, a sprawling Victorian with manicured lawns and secrets buried deeper than the roots of the ancient oaks. Dad, Manuel Rivera, had built his reputation on integrity campaign slogans like family first, community always. Mom, Isabella, was his rock, her Italian heritage blending with his Mexican roots to create this idyllic multicultural facade. Elena and I were the proof, her with straight A's and piano recitals, me with scraped knees from skateboarding and doodles in the margins of textbooks, but the cracks showed early. I was 8 when I first felt the divide. Elena, 10, had won a spelling bee, and the family threw a party. Balloons, cake, the works. I tried to join in, showing off a song I'd written on my toy keyboard about our dog, Buster. Dad laughed it off. Save the noise for the garage, kiddo. Elena rolled her eyes. Alex, not everything's about you. It was playful then, but it planted seeds. By high school, those seeds had grown into thorns. I rebelled in every way a teenager could. Skipped classes to surf, formed a band called Waves of Chaos, and got my first tattoo, a wave crashing over a heart, after Mom caught me smoking weed behind the garage. You're throwing your life away, she'd cry. Dad would nod solemnly, invoking the family name. Rivera's don't end up in the gutter. Elena, already the golden child, distanced herself. Why can't you just be normal? She'd hiss in the hallways at school where her friends whispered about the weird Rivera sibling. College was supposed to fix me. I enrolled at UC Santa Cruz, majoring in music production, but the pressure mounted. Dad wanted business, Mom suggested teaching, something stable. Elena was thriving at Stanford and turning at law firms. I lasted 2 years before dropping out. The fight that followed was legendary. You're a disappointment, Dad thundered. Mom wept. Elena, home for break, delivered the coup de grace. If you leave, don't come back expecting handouts. I packed my bags and drove south to LA, crashing on friends' couches, busking on Venice Beach for tips. Life in the city was a grind, but exhilarating. I hustled gigs at hole-in-the-wall venues, recorded demos in makeshift studios, and fell in love with Mia, a fellow musician with fire in her eyes and stories of her own family estrangement. We built a life together, small apartment, shared. Dreams of hitting it big, but the Rivera shadow lingered. Holidays were tense phone calls. When are you getting a real job? Dad would ask. Elena's updates were brags, promotions, engagements. She married a lawyer, had a kid perfect little. Nephew I barely knew. My music started gaining traction. A indie label signed me for an EP. Tracks like Broken Tides went viral on Spotify, drawing from the pain of feeling like an outsider in my own bloodline. Fans messaged me, "Your lyrics saved me." It felt like validation, but the family? Radio. Silence. Until my 30th birthday. That message from Elena wasn't out of the blue. A week earlier, a tabloid had run a story, Mayor's son in wild LA party scandal. It was exaggerated me at a club celebrating a sold-out show, a blurry photo with Mia and friends. But in Santa Marina, it exploded. Dad's re-election loomed, and suddenly, I was the liability. Elena, ever the protector, fired off that text. "Our family's ashamed that you use our last name." It hit like a tidal wave, dragging up every insecurity. I didn't respond. Instead, I poured it into music. That night, I wrote Name in the Sand, a ballad about erasing legacies and forging your own. Mia held me as I strummed, tears mixing with the strings. "They're wrong, Alex. You're more Rivera than they know, resilient, passionate." But doubt gnawed. Was I? The next morning, hungover and raw, I drove home. 6 hours up the coast, windows down, ocean air whipping doubts away. Santa Marina hadn't changed. The pier bustling, seagulls screeching. The family home loomed, unchanged yet unfamiliar. I knocked, heart pounding. Mom answered, eyes widening. "Alex?" She pulled me into a hug, smelling of lavender and home. Dad was in his study, Elena visiting with her family. The reunion was a minefield. Pleasantries gave way to tension. "What brings you back?" Dad asked, wary. I laid it out. "Elena's message on my birthday. That hurt more than anything." Elena flushed. "You saw the article." Dad's poll numbers dropped. "You single quotes reckless." Reckless? I shot back. "I've built a career from nothing." "Well, you've all played it safe, hiding behind the name." The argument erupted. Voices rose, old wounds reopened. Mom tried mediating. "We're family." But Elena doubled down. "You've tarnished us. Partying, tattoos, it's not who we are." "Who we are?" I laughed bitterly. "Dad, remember Abuelo? He crossed the border with nothing, built a life through grit. Not perfection." "Mom, your parents fled Italy during the war, survivors, not saints. We're Riveras because of that fire, not despite it." Silence fell. Dad's face softened, memories stirring. "Your grandfather, he was a dreamer too." Elena shifted. Uncomfortably, her husband, silent till now, chimed in. "Alex's music is good. Our son loves it." The dam broke, tears flowed. Elena admitted jealousy, my freedom, my authenticity. I followed the path, but sometimes I wonder, what if? Dad confessed, pride mixed with fear. "I didn't want you to struggle like I did." We talked. Till dawn. Apologies mended bridges. Elena hugged me. "I'm sorry, keep the name, make it yours." Back in LA, Name in the Sand became my breakout hit. Tours followed, interviews where I shared the story sanitized, but true. The family attended my Santa Marina show, front row. Dad beamed, Elena cheered, Mom whispered, "We're proud." But the real gift was internal. That birthday message, meant to wound, became my catalyst. I realized shame wasn't mine to carry. The Rivera name? It's a river fluid, carving new paths. Mine led to stages, spotlights, a life unapologetic. Years later, at Elena's 40th, I toasted, "To family flawed, fierce, forever." She smiled. No shadows left. The chasm, bridged. And my birthday? Now it's a celebration of rebirth.